The nervous tension, the butterflies in the tummy, the preparation, everything is set for the first official Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge race of the year, and a guy sitting right next to me that feels none of that, just a pensive urge to get on with racing. Richard Craill, welcome to Piarc's March Access and the magnificent Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge for 2023.
Thank you, Darren. Good morning to you and to everybody here at the circuit and watching live on Blendline TV. This is the 4.46 kilometre Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. It's fantastic. These are some highlights and perhaps lowlights for some from the final round of the 22 Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge Australia Series battles down into the final corner, and this ultimately saw race 2 declared with Danny Studdard tipped into the tyres under the bridge on the run out of MG, and that necessitated a lengthy barrier repair. It's the fastest circuit on the calendar in Porsche One Make racing, indeed in Australian motorsport. The lap record held by Matt Campbell at 1 minute 31.11, set way back in 2014. And of course, Tim Slade, somewhat contentiously perhaps, set the outright lap record just last year in that Brabham BT 62. It's a terrific part of the world, and it is a racetrack as if designed for a Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. And there are 24 of them on the circuit for this opening race of a brand new One Make Porsche season. Young Marcus Flake, the teenager, goes from pole alongside another teenager. This will be a theme, you'll note. Zach Stitchbury on the outside, Aaron Shields and Marco Giltrap on the second row of the grid. It was a good day for Team Porsche New Zealand. Hamish Fitzsimmons, his first car race coming up. He goes from 5th position for TechWorks, like he blocks him alongside in 6th. Ronan Murphy, yes, son of. G'day to Greg watching in New Zealand. In car 77 goes from 7th, and Harrison Goodman goes from 8th in the second of the Sonic cars. Caleb Sumich on debut in Porsche racing, just his 3rd weekend in the car, so not very experienced, goes out of 9th, and Tommy Taplin, the South Australian from P10. Sam Shikin on pole in Pro-Am, just 0.3 of a second to David Gregg in 2nd in class, and alongside him and the reigning champion Brett Bolton goes from 13th. Tom McLennan struggled yesterday, 14th for McElrea Racing and the McLennan Motorsports entry. Matt Slavin from 15th. Richard Cowan improved, survived a big moment at turn 12, but managed to qualify 16th in his car. Andrew Goldie, West Australian, from 17th alongside our Class B leader Lockie Harburg in the Autohouse Cover Shop car. Tim Wolfe and Jonathan Glixton in a new car this year for racing to beat FA. Travis Knight, Braden Taylor on his debut. Casper Tressida, fascinating gent, had a good chat with him last night actually to find out about his background, and then Phil Morris rounding out the 24. 10 laps, 3 races today, 2 of them sprints, and 1 enduro later this afternoon, which is the opening round of the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy. And it will be Marcus Flack after a brilliant lap, 1:31.3 for Sonic in the Rorsch paper entry. His dad Damien, the whole family here watching on, very proud of this young man who's come back from Europe and Asia racing Formula 4 cars to jump onto the Porsche Pyramid.
Tremendous to see so many new names as well, Richard. 9, not quite equaling the 10 that this time last year were debuted with the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge, but cars look set to go. And just walking through the paddock this morning, really, really good nervous tension about it. Everyone was ready to go. It's Sunday, we've already had Saturday. We've now got 3 races to get done, as you've just said. So really looking forward to seeing how this takes part. And great to see Piarc giving this sort of event a run as we get ready to go.
Flack and Stitchbury on the front row. A new season of Porsche racing bursts into life at the island. The best start of the lot was Marco Giltrap from the second row of the grid. Good launch for the young Kiwi, and he could sail round all of them to the first corner. He does so. Brilliant launch. Lockie Bloxham as well from the 3rd row of the grid's going to come out of 1 in 2nd position. So the pole sitter's back to 3rd, but he's on the dirty line on the outside of the southern loop, and Zach Stitchbury's going to get down the inside in the 72. He's now in an arm wrestle with Marcus Flack. What a start, Marco Giltrap, but even better, Lockie Bloxham jumps himself up 4 positions already as they run down to Stoner Corner for the first time.
On the 3rd row of the grid, Hamish Fitzsimmons, who was right next to Lockie Bloxham, had a horrible start. He's gone back a few spots even off the grid there, so didn't get away nicely. Tough old car for your first time in a Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge race to get off the line.
Well, it's first race start, full stop. So, yeah, these things happen. He's got lots
He'll get better at it.
Raw speed, no doubt. To the hay shed they go. This is Lockie Bloxham. He's got the pole sitter behind, but Marco Giltrap has cleared out in front. Brilliant start for the Team Porsche New Zealand Earl Bamber Motorsport driver. I'm sure Earl is watching on. He's been a busy boy racing at Kyalami with the Groves in Intercontinental GT Challenge last weekend. Aaron Shields down the inside on Stitchbury. Shields across to TechWorks Motorsport this year and gains a position. He's up to 4th. Stitchbury from the front row of the grid back to 5th. So some big winners and losers in this opening lap of a brand new one-make Porsche racing year in Australia. And the big winner so far is Marco Giltrap from one of the most famous New Zealand racing families there is. Flack with a great run up behind, blocks him in the toe on the run down to turn 1 at 270 kilometres an hour.
Flack, of course, joining in what is a long 25-year history now of the Sonic Motor Racing organisation. Great to see Michael and Maria grow that business to what it is.
Oh, contact between the two on the exit of the southern loop. So Bloxham a little bit wide. Flack got the nose up to the rear bar of Lockie Bloxham's car, and there was just a little puff of smoke between them as they traded paint.
If you were wondering if Flack has been doing some European racing, there it was right there. Come on, let's go. Get on with it, get on with it, get on with it. The 116 weighs in. That's Shields as well now.
Aaron's in his second season. Flack with a tighter line, both through turn 2 and then through Siberia as well. So he's just getting that car into the corner really well. And it opens up the exit for the 78. And while these two are scrapping, it's allowing Giltrap to pull away and build a really nice margin out in front. Is there a move down here at MG? Bloxham has to defend. Only make the one move in defence. They were very clear on that in driver's briefing this morning. And that was okay, but lap 2 of a 10-lap race is really early to start blocking your position when clearly the car behind has a lot of car speed. But gee, there's some energy in this pack of youngsters at the front of the field.
I tell you what though, Bloxham has got that experience of a season up his sleeve as to how the Michelin will respond over time. At the moment, Marcus Flack is throwing this car around all over the place. Great cold tyre speed, but will the tyre last throughout the weekend?
And they need to maintain their tyres. 2 sprint races into the Enduro this afternoon. And the idea is that you need to keep a set of tyres up your sleeve for the long race. So the 2 sets of Michelins you're allowed to use across the course of a weekend, you want to keep them nice. So use 1 set for this race and the second sprint a little bit later on. Keep a good set of fresh tyres, roaded tyres for the Enduro. Flack's got a clear pace advantage, but they're both catching the leader now. So Giltrap just coming back to this battle for second position. The quickest of them all is Harrison Goodman back in 6th place. He's in the Bob Jane Team Arts, the bright yellow, that iconic livery for Sonic Motor Racing, but he was in a little bit of clean air the last lap, so that's why he was the quickest of the lot.
Great shots coming out of Blendline TV for this opening round of the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge. Bloxham now under massive challenge for the first timer on this category. Oh. And holding on tight. Geez, holding some tight lines with that car. He's starting to think a little bit around. I'm focusing on the tyre because that's what we focus on here. Shens it down the inside. Does he bring Shields through with him?
Oh, and checks up on the exit of the corner and maybe a little front to rear contact. That started on the entry to Siberia because Bloxham's car had a little bit of a wobble as he turned the car in, so it cost him some momentum, and that opened the door for Flack to send one down the inside at MG. Textbook Phillip Island overtake there. So Bloxham now finds himself under heat from Aaron Shields, who's jammed up behind that Michelin rear wing and is going to try and go the long way around at turn 1.
Bloxham's got his covered initially on the entry to 1, holds him to 2.
Oh! Flack off the road at high speed, and he's going to slice across the front of the field at 2, and they take evasive action. A little bit too hot. Rush of blood to the head perhaps after getting that move done and clear racetrack in front, and it's torn the front splitter off that Sonic Motor Racing prepared Porsche. So from second place, he will be in a world of pain. Bloxham finds himself back up to second, Shields to third.
Bloxham, Shields, they just checked up ever so slightly there, but so did the cars behind them. They had to break up there, so the momentum was lost by the entire pack there, and we're going to see that as we start to see the second times light up. They've lost the best part of a second. They all just checked momentarily. Bloxham went through, and then we see the car just coming back on safely, but torn off that bottom spoiler, that's for sure.
Feisty, is it not? How good's this?
That's what we've come to expect.
Yeah, early days of the season as Shields tries to look down the inside, and that speculator just opened the door a little bit because Bloxham missed the apex by a Porsche width, and there'll be an over-under opportunity here. And all this has just been a gift for Marco Giltrap, because 0.6 of a second has turned into 2.2 in a race lead. So this young New Zealand teenager gapping away out in front while we follow this battle pack. Second, third is Shields, Stitchbury fourth, Goodman fifth. Ronan Murphy has tacked onto the back of this as well in his number 77 car, and Hamish Fitzsimmons not far off the back of them either. In Pro-Am, it's Sam Shahin leading Brett Bolton and David Gregg. Lockie Harburg leads the way in Class B, but we want to keep our focus on this sensational battle pack for the steps on the podium in this one.
Car number 64, Giltrap at the wheel, reminds me of a 2012 and a 2013 Kane Rose and Richard Muscat at their first races, driving away, just stamping their authority on the series, driving away at 2.8 seconds, and there's a swap. Is there? No, there's an iteration. We're going to do it at some point.
It's a big commitment to go around the outside at turn 4, stone a corner as it is now, to get that move done, but he's very wide at Siberia. He's dropped it wide. Lockie Harburg, Lockie blocks him. This is that moment from Adrian Flack, just dropping the car off. See what the outcome of Bloxham running wide is. Somehow managed to hold on to that position from Shields.
Do you imagine firing off at Marcus Flack style there? That was hard work.
Shields ran the outside. This time, can he get it done? He is trying every which way to work his way past Lockie Bloxham, who is resolutely defending his position. That was Flack, who's been into pit lane, I imagine, to put a new front splitter on car number 78, the little plastic strip that sits under the front bar of these cars and creates quite a bit of front downforce. What a fight.
Half race distance now as we see second and third. We can't see first in the same shot just at this point in time because he is over 3 seconds up the road. But this is a massive battle. And there is battles actually raging right throughout the field. 23 in P2 at the moment.
So Bloxham, his corner exit out of the southern loop's pretty good. But the fact he has to defend to cover that line, or feel like he has to defend, is really compromising his exit out of here, and it won't matter this time because Shields finally gets it down the inside. There'll be an over-under, but it puts Aaron on the correct side for the run into Siberia. Bloxham just never say die attitude in this race. Second year of One Mate Porsche racing out of the Toyota 86s. Families here. Dad cooked the barbecue last night actually and did a very nice job, throw it out there, but he's surrendered that position. And you feel like 116 has got plenty of car speed at the moment and may well be able to drive away now. But the issue for Aaron is that it's 3.1 seconds to our race leader, who, while this has all been going on, has just been setting a really consistent pace out in front, looking after the Michelin tyres and doing his own thing. So Marco should have a little bit in reserve should he need to get on the defensive if Aaron gets to the back of his Team Porsche New Zealand car.
Stitchbury now weighing in on this battle for what is going to be the last spot on the podium for race 1 for this season. Terrific season of racing ahead for the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge. 9 newcomers here this weekend and they're finding their feet magnificently. Stitchbury now starting to apply the pressure. Have Harrison Goodman ranging up there in that iconic livery, as you mentioned there, Richard. Being supported by True Grid there as well. So Bob Jane Team Arts, the Sonic Juggernaut, celebrating 25 years. And then right in behind there is Ronan Murphy in the number 77. Another New Zealander coming over here to raid us for all of the silverware. And looking very, very poised indeed. Right behind there is the 16 of Hamish Fitzsimmons. He's recovered. He went back to about 9th place off the start. Started out of 6th. He's into 7th now. So good on him. That's a good fight back. Just to put the bad start to one side and get on with the race in front of him.
And Sam Shahin continues to lead the Pro-Am class. He's running in 8th position outright. And Class B still led by Lockie Harburg. He's in 17th. See that in the totem, car number 91. Cover shop racing entry. So class leaderboard hasn't changed. Brett Bolton is 2nd in Pro-Am, David Gregg 3rd. But all the interest in these Michelin junior drivers, part of this comprehensive Porsche pyramid of motorsport that grabs the youngsters, puts them through their paces in Sprint Challenge, and then the opportunity to jump into Carrera Cup. If you are the top Michelin junior in Carrera Cup, you go to the Porsche Shootout in Europe. And if you win that, you get a scholarship into Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup, and the pathway goes from there.
Talking about the Porsche Pyramid, Tim Wolfe has joined us out of the Victorian 944 Challenge, and he's doing it for Pit Lane Clothing here this weekend and Per Equipment Rentals. So we'll see what Tim Wolfe gets up to. He's doing a terrific job at the moment, down in 16th at the moment.
Just hearing Casper Tressida in his first Sprint Challenge race has had a spin and has continued onwards. Son of Paul Tressida, well-known one-make Porsche racer. Spent his recent times in this kind of category up in Carrera Cup Asia racing. Also owns the 2019 Bathurst 12-hour winning 911 GT3R, which was the car that finally delivered Porsche an enduro race win at Mount Panorama. It was the only one left in the trophy cabinet in Weissach that they hadn't got, and they finally got there thanks to the efforts of there were some other drivers involved, but let's be honest, it was Matt Campbell doing the heavy lifting at the end of that day.
And I'll tell you what, they tried for a long time in the 968 CS. I'd still love one of those cars. But,
you and me too.
That was a magnificent 12-hour, and they just continue to rack up at Mount Panorama. We have got the fast and flowing layout here of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit at our absolute command here today. And the Porsches, as you said in your opening remarks, Richard, this place is built for these thoroughbred European sports cars. And what a thoroughbred drive by the driver of number 64. Charges across the line, and we get another lap in the bag.
Some good pace at the front. So Giltrap, quickest final sector for him that race. Aaron Shields last time by set the fastest lap of the race. So now he got clear of Lachlan Bloxham. He was able to put his head down, and he's closed that margin to under 3 seconds. But as I said, a bit of maintenance, I think, for Giltrap out in front. Lachlan Bloxham still third, and he's got Zach Stitchbury working over the rear bar of the Option Team Navy McElroy racing car. Harrison Goodman having a good run. This is his second season in Sprint Challenge, and Ronan Murphy up a spot from where he qualified. Bloxham again having to defend down here. Into turn 4, over under perhaps for young Zach, who won his place in this Team Porsche New Zealand program through a shootout that they ran at Hampton Downs, south of Auckland, earlier this year. It's come out of the 86 Racing Series and big raps as we watch Richard Cowan having a big moment under brakes down into MG. So Zach Stitchbury, the son of the late great Ashley Stitchbury, who lost aged 30 many years ago, but was one of the best talents in New Zealand at the time. So it's great to see that well-known Kiwi racing surname continuing to punch away. Richard just grabbed the brakes there, was a bit offline, defensive in what was quite a busy battle pack on the run down into MG, and just half looped his car, so he has lived to fight another day. This is busy.
This is very busy. Mixing it up here.
Ooh, so what's happened to Hamish Fitzsimmons' blue, white and red car? Just been gobbled up by David Gregg, who's off the road. There was contact between the two, and he's going to find the tyres in a big way. So Fitzsimmons had an issue and had dropped a few spots in car number 16. And David Gregg, who's a Pro-Am runner, was trying to go around the outside, and there was contact as they worked their way through turn 11. Come back to that, because this is the fight for the final step in the race 1 podium. And once again, Bloxham wearing someone else's final wrap through turn 2.
Getting the touch and a hurry up there, that is for sure. We're getting pretty game with it now.
He's going to have a sore neck after this race, Lockie. He has been under fire since lap 1 and a little bit wide. Stitchbury with a good run. There's a lap car there. I think it was Flack. That was Flack just getting out of the way. And this has just thrown this wide open, so Bloxham through.
Murphy through as well in the 77.
So that's really cost Stitchbury coming out of turn 4. And that's, yeah, he's dropped quite a few positions out of that. He was going to try and get one down the inside of Murphy. So the lap car actually caught them out. It was Marcus Flack trying to do the right thing, but unfortunately it's probably cost young Zach a few spots. Regardless, out the front, the Giltrap group. Team Porsche New Zealand driver with a famous surname and living up to it in the opening race of a new Porsche season. Well done, Marco Giltrap. He wins the first Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge race of 2023. The really impressive drive. And a brilliant start did the numbers for him. Aaron Shields second, and blocks him home in third after a breathless race for the driver of the 23 car. Sam Sheehan in seventh and wins Pro-Am. Brett Bolton second there. Tom Taplin in the middle of them, actually. Sheehan beats Taplin to the line, so really good job of the South Australians having a good little interstate scrap there.
Marco Giltrap came out of the second row of the grid. He led the field basically from turn 2 for the entire journey. Disappeared off, and a very ominous signal to the rest of the field. Here we go again, having a bit of a look at this mid-pack tangle up.
So that's David Greg Wright trying to go around the outside. Oh, and just the lightest of contact, but the car's so loaded up through turn 11, it gets the pendulum going, and he's backed that in. I hope that hasn't done damage to the rear chassis rails and the engine of the Dakin number 87 car.
I think he's actually plucked it out of the wall and made his way back too. So let's hope not. There is a good three rows of tyres there, so can be quite a soft touch.
And this is Jonathan Glixton running wide at turn 1, unseen by us in the race to beat FA, which is Friedrich Ataxia, and doing that in support of the legendary Carl Batson Batstech logo on the back of that car from Porsche Centre Melbourne. And then the final incident of all of that was what happened with Flack going slowly out of turn 4 when that battle for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and I think seventh as well all got to him. And Zach Stitchbury, who was about to make some passes on Lockie Bloxham, was running side by side. I think just got unsighted a little bit there, Daz, and was caught out, so he's dropped down to 6th position. But Marco Giltrap, the first winner of a brand new season, and this tradition of fast young Kiwis coming to Australia and doing the job has continued. Aaron Shields, that is an outstanding drive. PB result for him in second. Lockie Bloxham fought for third. Harrison Goodman fourth. Ronan Murphy fifth, up 2 spots from where he started. Zach Stitchbury in 6th. Sam Sheehan wins Pro-Am in 7th in front of Tom Taplin, with Brett Bolton second in class and Tom McLennan rounding out the top 10. Wild start to the year, Darren Smith. If that is an indication of what we are going to have for the remainder of 2023, Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge is going to be box office this year. Exciting times in Porsche land, and Porsche Centre Melbourne stepping up big time with a great field of drivers for this year's Porsche Painter Dixon Carrera Cup Australia, and the support of BWT, the pink Porsches that have been so prevalent in Porsche Super Cup competition coming to Australia this year. So, race 2 of Michelin Sprint Challenge for round 1. This is how they line up. It's the results from race 1. So, Marco Giltrap will go from pole. Aaron Shields, who was awesome to watch in race 1 in the TechWorks car, he goes off the outside of the front row. Lachlan Bloxham and Harrison Goodman are next from positions 3 and 4. Ronan Murphy gained 2 spots in race number 1, so he goes off the inside of the third row alongside Zach Stitchbury, who got stitched up a little bit in the final lap of race 1, hung out to dry at Siberia and dropped a potential podium position down to P6. Sam Sheehan's leading the way in Pro-Am. He goes off 7 alongside Tom Taplin. Brett Bolton next, second in Pro-Am, the champion of that class last year. Tom McLellan gained 4 spots to get himself into the top 10. Caleb Sumich slow away, but gaining experience. Just his 3rd time in the car. Today, he's up to 11th. Andrew Goldie, the West Australian, out of 12 in the Cirrus aircraft car. Tim Wolf from 13th, good finish for him. Our Class B winner was Lockie Harburg. He goes from 14 alongside Matt Slavin and Jonathan Glixton racing to beat FA. Richard Cowan off of 17th alongside Casper Tressida for the Wall Racing and Hillcrest cards on the southeast coast of New South Wales. Check that out. Travis Knipe and Braden Taylor for Wall Racing in his first car racing meeting, going off of 20. Phil Morris, one of the legends of Victoria Motorsport, alongside my co-commentator David Gregg, out of 22, had that incident around at turn 11. That car has been fixed, so he is good to go in this one. Marcus Flack, after the off at turn 1, tore the front splitter out of that car, went to pit lane, starts from the back. So too Hamish Fitzsimmons, who was involved in that little incident with David Gregg and failed to finish. So they're the 24. They'll be let out onto the racetrack soon. I'm joined once again by a man who's been studiously working away and that knows this place well from his days of becoming the Victorian under 2 litre improved production champion. not that long ago, he tells us. This is the racetrack. We're at the Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit. Darren Smith, it's a hell of a place to go car racing, especially on an outstanding day like today.
And I tell you what, Richard, the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge and the iterations of the naming of that particular category over the years, we've started 2023 like every other season. Massive promise coming in and delivering in spades in race number 1, and I'm sure it will continue right around. Have a look at this place here. Here's some footage from Island Magic last year. There's Danny Studdert, our great mate, who won the Class B Championship a number of years ago. In fact, took his trophy dressed up as a red M&M in Sydney all those years ago. But certainly, what a track. Our forefathers, we owe them a debt of gratitude for this magnificent racetrack on this, well, prime bit of real estate, really. When you look out over there, we can just about wave to our friends in Tasmania, and there it all is before us. 4.45 kilometres, Michelin Sprint Challenge, lap record of 1:31.14. Tim Slade taking the lap record at the state round last year in the Brabham, running in the MG and invited British sports cars that weekend. It was a class above.
There's some links there, aren't there?
There is, yes.
It works.
There
I know
certainly is.
Simon Wills was distinctly unhappy that happened, because up to that point he still held it from
certainly did.
About 2001 in the old Formula Holden. So that's the scene. Low 30s, the top here today, so it is quite warm. A lot of UV. Cloud that was around this morning's burnt off, and direct sunlight on this beautiful racetrack. So track temperatures up. Teams will need to adjust that with their starting pressures in the Michelin Pilot Sport GT tyres. They're running in these cars. They get 2 brand new sets of Michelins for each round of the championship. And in practice for round 1, they were allowed to bank 2 additional sets to put into the tyre bank as used tyres for future rounds. So plenty of rubber being used here with our great sponsor at Michelin. They've been long-time supporters of One Mate Porsche Racing, both in this part of the world and globally. So there's the weather, 29.9 degrees. Breeze keeping the ambient temperature, feels like down somewhere in the low 20s, I would have thought. 65% humidity at the moment, but it is a really, really nice day. And another short, sharp, intense race coming your way. Lockie Harburg in the Autohouse entry, number 91. This is the Cover Shop sponsored car in the camo livery, carrying our onboard camera for this race. He's the reigning Class B champion. Came into the series last year with no plans whatsoever to do the full season. Turned out he went very, very well and ended up winning the championship. So, of course, he's come back. If you're wondering what the difference between Class Pro, the Pro and Michelin Junior class, Pro-Am and Class B, well, Pro and Pro-Am run the Generation 2 991 GD3 Cup car. The Class B class is for the Generation 1 car, so the previous gen entry, which has a 3.8 litre as compared to a 4 in the outright cars, about 40 less horsepower, a little bit less aero, and ultimately a little bit less ultimate lap time, but there's still plenty of those cars around, and therefore Class B caters to them. Did you know, Darren, that Porsche is the brand with the highest percentage of cars sold still running anywhere in the world?
Yeah, I wouldn't wage an argument against it. The evidence is every time you go to a racetrack, they're there.
Correct. So if you sold 5,000 cars, other brands might still have 2,500 on the road. Porsche's like 4,500.
Yeah, correct.
There you go. A fun little fact for you.
And look, testament here this weekend how these cars flow down. The Victorian sports cars are racing, and a lot of Porsches running in that. Great marketplace. Comes down,
totally.
Drops into it, and ends up with the Porsche owners clubs and things like that. And great to see how that is working this weekend. I've said it a couple of times. Tim Wolfe out of WA 2 weeks ago was racing at Sandown in the 944s. Porsche emblazoned across the front, because Porsche Cars Australia believe in their own program enough to support that category.
Well, the head of marketing at Porsche Cars Australia races in Porsche 944. So
he does.
Talk about backing the own product that you're selling. It's really
Absolutely.
cool. Speaking about backing their product, how about New Zealand motorsport at the moment? Aren't they just kicking goals? Kiwis everywhere.
Certainly in Australia.
Yeah, Kiwis everywhere. Liam Lawson racing overseas. We've just seen another really good Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship, TRS to everybody else. And now Team Porsche New Zealand. What a stunning program they've put together. So much like the shootout to get into Super Cup, they've got their own little junior driver shootout to find drivers to race in this category, and then step up into Porsche Painter Dixon Carrera Cup Australia. And we'll see Callum Hedge racing in Carrera Cup this year. And that guy is seriously rapid. He is a real star of the future. Ryan Wood was part of the program last year. He's moved off to Super 2 competition. But this weekend, Marco Giltrap with the win. That's him there. And Zach Stitchbury, who qualified second, didn't get a great start and had to work for that race. And then, as we mentioned on the last lap, lost a little bit of time. So 10 laps in the books for this one. 24 cars started the weekend. 24 cars will start race 2. The trick is to get through the 10 laps here to position yourself for the Enduro a little bit later on this afternoon. A vast majority of teams running the same set of Michelins they ran earlier today to make sure that the longer race, especially in these hot conditions at a circuit famous for tyre wear, is good to go for the longer race this afternoon, which will be 45 minutes.
I tell you what, Richard, if you're looking for what to get dressed up in to come to the racetrack, clearly orange, black and white is the colour of choice these days. Front row of the grid dominated by those three colours. The Giltrap Group, a name synonymous with Southeast Asian motorsport, particularly New Zealand and Australia. Many, many years we've seen that. Set for a race start.
So, take 2 at the island, and it's Aaron Shields this time who gets the better launch from the non-gripped up side of the road, and it's a drag race between the two to turn 1. Giltrap not giving away any ground at the moment. Bloxham next, Goodman up to 3rd. Tom Taplin looks like he's made a good start as well in the Taplin real estate car. So Bloxham clear of Goodman in 88, but Aaron Shields, a really good launch. Nailed the reaction time, got the bite point right, and he is clear.
Lockie Bloxham just going for a little bit of a confident swerve on the tyre as he went down into turn 1. A little bit of a move left and right. He had plenty of clear air around him, and he did a great job down the back of the field there. And the Maha entered equipment car is Taylor as well on debut in the series. We'll be watching that car very closely through the 2023 championship.
Someone was torching a right front under brakes for Stoner Corner. I think it was Tom Taplin, who's up a couple of spots to 5th place, the South Australian. There he is. Grabbing that inside front under braking. Who's dropped wheels off on the exit of Siberia? Dust kicked up on driver's right. And that was Aaron Shields using all of the road. And off the road, Bloxham that was. Dropped it wide at the hay shed, but manages to gather it up. Somehow gets away with it. He was forced to spend a lot of race 1 this morning looking in the rearview mirror. Taplin gets it down the inside. Inside front torched and just pulled it up in time to avoid a collision with Harrison Goodman in the 88 car.
10 laps the journey in this. You can't afford to slide down into MG on lap number 1 with them all locked up with smoke billowing off them. Taplin's shown some great speed in this opening lap, but Harrison Goodman in the Bob Jane Team Arts Sonic entry out after Lockie Bloxham now, and they're all out after Giltrap and Shields.
276 kilometre an hour VMAX on the run into turn 1.
Yeah.
And the Bob Jane car goes round the outside. It gives him the racing room for the inside at the southern loop, and it could take 25 seconds to complete this pass, but he finally gets it done on corner exit. And Bloxham struggling with the rear tyres on his car at the moment. It's sliding around on corner exit. Good pass. How's the commitment for the Sonic driver around the outside at turn 1?
Why not do it at the highest speed of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit? Commit, show everyone behind you that you're here to stay and you're here to win too. That was massive commitment. Great respect there too, Richard, which is what we need to see in these sort of cars, to give that just that enough amount of room that they don't go off to the dirt.
And full credit, Chris Pither filling in for driving Standards Chief Carl Reindler this weekend, and Crispy got up in front of them all this morning and had a big chat just about racing room, etiquette, the passing points they're looking at, and just how to manage your race and be smart about things. And it was, I got stuff out of it, and I'm an idiot commentator, so hopefully the drivers got something out of it too. Good, clean, hard motor racing is what we want to see, and we certainly got some of that. Tell you what, this guy's having a pretty good show. Tom Taplin up to 5th, already gained some ground from finishing 7th in race 1, and right on the pace now of Lachlan Bloxham and trying to challenge the McElrea driver for 4th.
I tell you what, Porsche do put the right people in place. Over the years, we've had Paul Stokely, Stephen Johnson, Craig Baird. We've had Carl, as you said, and now Chris Pither been operating at the top of his game, and for mine, still can. And great to see the opportunity to help these drivers along. Passes happening right throughout this field in these opening couple of laps. You've got to say, 10 laps is a really short, sharp race for these guys.
Yeah, I quite like it. Usually we go 14 here, so I don't mind the short races leading into the long enduro. Just ups the intensity level. Not that it's
not that it's lacking.
Not that it's low in one, mate, Porsche racing. It is one of the most intense categories around. So this is Taplin, Stitchbury, Murphy. Next, he's in that yellow and blue Sonic Motor Racing car, and then behind them is Sam Shahin, who's leading Pro-Am, and Tom McLennan. And not supposed to have favourites, but young Tom, potentially livery of the year so far for mine. It's the gold, or the reflective blue and purple on a race car with the white signage, the Mac Pro signage. It looks ace.
I guess John Goodacre isn't here with the VB
It's the same
green
thing.
anymore, is it?
Correct.
So, yeah. We had him for a long time, was our favourite with the colouring on his car.
Oh, gun start. I'm sure Johnny's watching back from South Australia, still one of the most experienced drivers in Michelin Sprint Challenge history. So this is a really good battle pack. The leader out, 1.7 seconds for Aaron Shields, looking for his maiden victory in Michelin Sprint Challenge, and also the first for TechWorks in this category. He's got 1.7 over Giltrap, and then this is the fight for third, fourth, fifth, sixth in Stitchbury, seventh in Murphy, Shahin, McLennan, and Bolton rounds out the top 10 in Pro-Am, just at the back of that shot. And he's got young Caleb Sumich tucked up behind him, his McElroy teammate. Another one down, lap 4 of 10 we're on now.
Gee, Sam Shahin's got some young guns in front of him, hasn't he? Murphy and Stitchbury, and those guys are quitting themselves absolutely brilliantly, and 6th and 7th at the moment. A veteran of Porsche racing, and he's right with them. He's right there, staring down, breathing as heavily as he can down their neck. The guy knows his way around a Porsche GT3 race car, that is for sure.
He'll be back to compete in Carrera Cup again. Sam benchmarks himself. Well, I mean, he's a Pro-Am driver. He benchmarks himself against the pros. He wants to be racing with them and improving all the time, and he's become an exceptionally quick one-make Porsche racer. Spends quite a bit of time at the bend, as you would, when the place isn't booked, because it's quite busy at the moment. Getting track time anywhere in Australia at the moment is pretty hard work. But lots of laps and doing double duty once again, Sprint Challenge and Painted Dixon Carrera Cup. But Harrison Goodman, having made that bold move around the outside at turn 1, hasn't been able to pull away from Lockie Bloxham. So it's now Bloxham on the offense, and this will be a nice change for him after his adventures today. He has been defending hard all day long. Now he can go on the offense and try and get himself back into the top 3.
I remember watching Bloxham in the first practice session at the start of last season. Was a shining light behind Ryan and Tom, and doing the same now. He's just got a couple of cars in front of him, but certainly battling very, very hard, using his head and trying to use every weapon in the book here at the moment, as we see Ronan Murphy charging across the line. This is the group fighting it out for 4th, 5th and 6th. As Richard just said 2 laps ago, they're still fighting it out for 4th, 5th and 6th on the road. And ultimately, if someone gets it wrong, they're going to be fighting for about 15th, because if you go off, you're not going to get back on in this gap, that's for sure.
Bloxham just carrying that inside front down into Southern Loop. Puff of smoke is the unloaded side of the car. Be happy to get rid of that tyre after this race and put some newies on for the Jim Richards Enduro race a little bit later on today. I just want to give a shout out to Tom Taplin. He's doing an outstanding job. Car 26, as I say that, bowls a wide down at turn 4 and loses a spot to Zach Stitchbury, so commentator's curse. But he's driving outstandingly well. He is full-time now in real estate, the family firm. They're based down on Jetty Road in Glenelg in South Australia. They've got developments going everywhere. They are as busy as they have ever been. And I should give a shout out, his 91-year-old granddad, who I'm told has only just retired at 91, hope that's me, is watching on from South Australia. And Tommy said that he always watches his racing. So g'day to Grandad Taplin, who's watching on back there from SA, as I'm sure his dad is as well. But a great SA racing family, been involved in motorsport for a long time. And Tom driving really, really well. This car prepared by Mark Buick and his team at Brennan Autosport out of Adelaide. And he's had some real pace today.
Certainly a team that knows how to win in this category. Ronan Murphy ranging up now as well. Sam Shahin has just been shaken a little bit off this group now. It is Ronan Murphy on the back of the front group. There he is now, ranging up onto Tom Taplin. So first time out in the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge. The guy from the land of the long white cloud is going very, very nicely indeed against a fellow Porsche racer that comes out of South Australia. And just up the road a little bit more there is Stitchbury and Bloxham. Goodman for Sonic Motorsport. There he is there in the 88. There's Bloxham in the 23. Mirrors full of a very, very big 72 of Stitchbury, another New Zealander.
Yeah.
Boy, we're getting gazumped by them at the moment in Australian motorsport.
Yeah, we're still better at them than cricket. So this is Stitch Prix on the move, and he is the fastest driver on the racetrack at the moment. So he's got the pass done on Tom Taplett, don't mention the rugby. And now he's looking to get past Lockie Bloxon and then try and get out after Harrison Goodman to get himself on the podium. Probably feels like there was one that went missing earlier this morning in race 1. The leading group of cars came across Marcus Flack, who was going a lap down, and he was just held out wide at Siberia, and as a result lost 3 spots. Such was the closeness of that group. Murphy up the inside of Taplin clears that position, and that will get him to 6th position. By the way, the drivers that started from the back, Marcus Flack is up to 11th place now, so from 24th, good pass, and Fitzsimmons up to 14th, so getting some wheel-to-wheel combat racing action and experience from the back of the field.
Certainly Marcus Flack in the 78, we're watching very closely there. An update for those watching on from the west, Tim Wolfe on debut has made his way now into 16th place and had a massive smile when I had a quick run through the paddock there earlier. Didn't get to speak to him, but the smile said it all. The enjoyment of racing in the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge is everything. Stitch Prix now has Ronan right up behind him here, so it's a couple of K1W ones taking the battle up now.
Did it look like a little bit of Morse code front bumper to rear there through the southern loop?
I didn't see Lowndes written on the side of many of the cars.
Knowing CL, he'll be watching this too. Enjoying some Porsche action. Raced Carrera Cup a couple of seasons ago.
He did.
Pretty effective in them as well.
I'm just quoting Skate from Crompton. They used to call it the Lowndes Morse code.
So Murphy up to 6th. I was talking to Michael Henry, who's the engineering guru at Sonic Motor Racing. I'm working with these young drivers, which he loves. He's had some great relationships over the journey in Porsche racing in his time with Sonic. And he said, I think we're going to have a fun year with Ronan as he gets up to speed. Relative late starter to motorsport, and I say relative, he's still a kid, but to those around him, he was late into the seat. So he's still learning, still getting up to speed, but his pace this weekend has been great. And 6th position once again as we work our way towards the 8th lap of this race, with Aaron Shields continuing to lead. You've missed nothing out in front. The margin 1.6 seconds to Marco Giltrap, who was a little bit quicker last time round. 1:34.7 for the Team Porsche NZ driver, plays a 35.2 for the race leader, so 0.5 of a second pulled out.
I tell you what, next time you see Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge on a track near you, get trackside, because when this pack comes past, they absolutely thump the ground and the air around you, and you cannot be absolutely bamboozled by the pace that they set in a straight line. They're coming around through turn 3, the main pack now. Our race leaders are down in through turn 4. But get yourself trackside to see these Porsches, whether it be the Paynter-Dixon Michelin, the Paynter-Dixon Carrera Cup, or the Michelin Sprint Challenge here at the racetrack. Get and see them. This is awesome stuff.
Bloxham dropped off the back of Harrison Goodman. I'm sure Andy McElray, team boss at McElray Racing, watching on fairly late in the States now. It's in St. Petersburg, watching young Hunter, his son, in Indy Lights, or it's Indy Next now. Not even NEXT, it's NXT for some reason. So he'll be watching on the live stream, seeing how the McElray drivers go this weekend, and then the opening round of Carrera Cup North America is next week at Sebring, iconic track in Central Florida, where our champion from this series last year will race. Tom Sargent will go at it against the best in North America, which is really cool.
Had a great time in Formula Ford, Tom Sargent. Caught a lot of his racing in Formula Ford, and a real talent racing on the national and the Victorian scene. Very, very cool to see his career going on. Of course, Carrera Cup will be at the Grand Prix, so get down to that. There's still some standing room, I believe, at the Grand Prix, so get down. You can't get to see them here at Phillip Island this weekend. I think the next time in Victoria will be the Grand Prix, which is only a few weeks away, so make sure you check out the Paynter-Dixon Carrera Cup at the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park.
I'm not allowed to tell you much about the field for Carrera Cup this year because there's some really spicy deals still being done. But there'll be 30 cars plus, and oh boy, wowie, it's going to be competitive. There's going to be some spice. Let's go and have a look at what happened up here on the Michelin replay up at Lukey Heights. That's Tim Wolfe with the spin in the 66 car.
So there's the update for the Western Australians. Tim sliding down into MG that time around.
Well, and Andrew Goldie for the WA fans watching on 15th place in the Cirrus aircraft entry. Andrew flew down from Queensland, he tells me, to come here this weekend, but via the international air show that's happening over at Avalon at the moment. Big aviation buff, as are many in this paddock, as you would be. You can understand.
And every now and again, some of the big planes do a loop down here, and you can hear them just crashing out over Bass Strait there as well. So they get sent out for a bit of a fly around whilst they prepare for another bit. But being up here, we don't get to see it. But if you do hear it around the island, that's what's going on. They send them down on a loop down here. And back up to the air show. Big move now around the outside, side by side. Stitchbury looks to go on Lockie Bloxham. He's got the inside running at 2. Bloxham crowds the corner using every bit of strategy he possibly can. And Bloxham gets sent wide. This is going to be a hard run down to turn 3. They're going to stay side by side with it. And have a look who's ranging up in the background now. It's Ronan Murphy. This is having it on now at the moment. Bloxham goes wide. He's got the inside running. Under brakes for turn 4. Can he get the switch back?
And Murph's going to get this.
Murphy goes through as well.
Oh, with a big don't argue. Gets the doors involved. And now he could get Bloxham and they'll run side by side. And he's got a couple of wheels off. Hold on to it, Ronan. He does, but he'll lose that spot to Stitchbury. He'll be annoyed at that, I'm sure, but he won't mind it because he's right in the fix with some really good, young, talented drivers. So Lockie Bloxham, it took 35 seconds, but somehow he managed to hold on to that. They are on the final lap. That's why the intensity just cranked itself up a little bit.
I tell you what, Stitchbury just about threw the silver fern out the window then, didn't he?
Here goes Murph. Stitchbury locks a brake. A little bit of challenges to get the thing stopped down into the final corner. This will run to the line. So too will our race leader, Aaron Shields. His rookie season last year was super impressive. And he is going to deliver his first victory in Michelin Sprint Challenge. He holds off the race 1 winner, Marco Giltrap, and wins race 2. And it's all squared up between the two of them going into the Enduro race a little bit later on this afternoon. Goodman third. Bloxham holds on. Nothing between them. Less than 0.6 of a second covering Bloxham, Stitchbury, Murphy, Taplin, Shahin just a few tenths behind. And here is Lockie Harburg in the cover shop car who's going to win Class B. So feisty stuff at the end of the race, and a pass that started at turn 1, continued all the way down to turn 4, and then just kept boxing on through 6, 7, 8, and all the way to the finish line.
Well, it's all relevant too, wasn't it?
Totally.
All trying to get to the finish line. A couple of Kiwis in the mix there, a couple of young debutants indeed from New Zealand, and providing great racing.
Shields and Giltrap locked together on points now going into the final race for the round. Goodman and Bloxham tied on points for 3rd overall, with Stitchbury and Murphy locked together on points for 5th overall. So there's everything to play for and a spot on the round podium coming up later on today. Shields, Giltrap, Goodman, the top 3 in that one. So another new name at the top of the leaderboard, with Lachlan Bloxham fighting his way to 4th place. Stitchbury to 5th. Ronan Murphy, another feisty drive from the 77 to 6th. Tom Taplin dropped back a few spots, but he was racy to 7th. Sam Shahin 8th. Pro-Am winner once again. Tom McLennan was 9th. And Marcus Flack from 24th to 10th in 10 laps. Not a bad day's work for the youngster. Caleb Sumich 11th. Brett Bolton and Fitzsimmons was 13th. So he too started from the last row and got himself up the order. Matt Slavin, Lockie Harburg, the Class B winner. Goldie Gregg, Tressida Cowan and Glixton the 20. Aaron Shields set the fastest lap at a 34.2, which shows you how warm it is today. It's 3.1 seconds off the lap record, but they're not troubling that today, Darren. But a great drive. Well done, Aaron Shields. He's worked so hard for that. He was one of the big improvers over the course of last year's championship. He switched across to TechWorks Motorsport this year, and he's just delivered them and himself his first Michelin Sprint Challenge win. They're a bunch of talented youngsters, and they have all delivered in their own ways so far in this opening round of the championship. Harrison Goodman on the podium in the last race, equal 3rd on points so far, and the Bob Jane car having a really good weekend. Ronan Murphy, a couple of 5th places to his credit. He's been super quick, and Marcus Flack, well, we saw him spectacularly grab pole position yesterday, fired it off the road at turn 1 at high warp factor this morning, but recovered through the field to 10th place in race 2, and that's where he will start for this 25 lap feature. So Shields, fresh from his first race victory in one-make Porsche racing, goes from pole for TechWorks. Rob Woods, the team boss, very pleased, and one of their other drivers floating around, Max Vidal on the headset this weekend, Thomas Maxwell here as well, Marco Giltrap, the 18-year-old Kiwi from the front row, Harrison Goodman and Zach Stitchbury back to 4th position. Now, you might be wondering why Lockie Bloxham's back a couple of spots. He was given a 2-position penalty from race 2 for driving standards infringement breach, so he's dropped back down to 6th position with Ronan Murphy in front, Thomas Taplin behind, and Sam Shahin leading the way in Pro-Am. Tom McLennan goes off 9th alongside Marcus Flack. Watch for the youngster to pass some cars again in this one. Caleb Sumich continues the learning process from 11th. Brett Bolton, Pro-Am title contender from 12th. Fitzsimmons, another to work his way through the field, goes off 13 with Matt Slavin, who had a really good run in Pro-Am last time round in 14th. Lockie Harburg, Class B leader from 15th, and Andrew Goldie, the West Aussie, out of 16, with his long-time one-mate Porsche rival David Gregg in his repaired 87 car next. Casper Tressida, Richard Cowan and Jonathan Glixton out of 20. 2 more rows to round out a bumper field. 24 cars, Tim Wolf, Phil Morris, Travis Knight and Braden Taylor enjoying his first race meeting here. I saw Tony D'Alberto in the paddock. Why is that significant? Well, Braden twirls the spanners on Tony's championship-winning TCR car for Wall Racing. That's his day job, and this is his first time going racing with, of course, Wall Racing running the car. 24.3 degrees at the moment here at Phillip Island. The temperature dropping just slightly in the afternoon. Bit of a cool change coming across Victoria later tonight with a bit of rain, but we're clear for that now. Beautiful sunshine still baking down. Track temperature still quite high, and again a light breeze, but nothing that will upset these cars as it has done so in the past at Phillip Island. Darren Smith back alongside me in the commentary box for this one. 25 laps. We love these enduro races, Daz. They're really good fun. They evolve, they ebb and flow. Some drivers go hard early and take the best out of their tyres. Some bide their time and attack late. They always produce some unpredictable racing.
It's one of those races where you don't want to be sitting in a comfortable couch with your feet up, because you end up standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down, and getting really engrossed in the race. And it really does. It'll certainly bring to the fore some of the packages we've seen out of Porsche as well, with the support that they offered, was the fitness training aspect, and we touched on that earlier today. So that'll start to come in. It'll really start to sort out those that have shown the true commitment and really sold themselves into the Porsche way, trained hard, given the physical presence. You know, we look at the Melbourne Porsche team there as well, now being fronted up by Cam McConville. Super fit guy, triathlete,
yeah.
And you know, he's going to look at his drivers and go, hey, you're not training hard enough, mister. Yeah, into the gym.
I remember he missed a Bathurst event at one point because he was off doing the big Hawaii, is it Kona triathlon? That remarkable thing over there. So, they're all fit. That's probably a program you and I should investigate at some point, Daz.
Well, you're wearing the Porsche uniform, mate. That's I'll leave that with you.
If we're going down, mate.
We're going down together.
As a team.
I'm just pushing you out to sea. See you later, buddy.
So the cars get to their grid positions on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here at the island. People watching from all corners of the world, enjoying what's been a spectacular start to Michelin Sprint Challenge. From here we go to Queensland Raceway, Symmons Plains, Sydney Motorsport Park, Mount Panorama and the Bend on the calendar. So some really good racetracks to round out what is one of the great championships in this country in terms of producing young talent, producing Pro-Am talent that make it to Carrera Cup or beyond, and just generally putting on a great show. And in just a few seconds, when the final few cars roll into position, they'll get these things up near the 8,000 RPM rev ceiling on a Porsche Flat 6, find the bite point in the clutch, and then launch them down towards Bass Strait to start a 25-lap challenge at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Revs up. Let's do this. Final race of round one. Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge. Good start. Aaron Shields once again. Goodman from the second row of the grid was quick off the line and instantly goes drivers left to open up the approach to turn one. Stitchbury away well. They're all learning, all their starts improving as the weekend goes on. Bloxham next, then Ronan Murphy, Tom Taplin and Sam Shahin side by side through the southern loop. But for the second time in as many races today, it's Aaron Shields with the best launch, the best run and the exit clean. The run down the hill to turn four.
Andrew Goldie got a ripping start as well. He gripped up beautifully, grabbed second gear and just drove past 3 cars before he even hit grid position number 1 from down there in the field in the AM section of this race. So watch for him to feature in this early stanza of this race. Everyone got away cleanly. It was magnificent. Watch, everyone just moved away brilliantly and a line astern with each other now. They want to draw alongside each other and not let these front-running cars get away from it. Interesting little bit of thing I could notice from our vantage point on top of Marco Giltrap's car was the 8th state of Victoria. You know, that one that got pushed off the East Coast, the New Zealand map on the roof there. So really good, nice touch that. I like what they've done there with the Giltrap car.
Earl Bamber Motorsport leads the way with Marco Giltrap in second. So it's TechWorks leading the race with Aaron Shields, then EBM, then Sonic, then McElrea, then another EBM car, then another Sonic car. So the split and the variety at the front of the field, as good as it always is in one make Porsche racing with these outstanding professional teams that put on a great show. Tom Taplin away smartly as well. He's up to 7th. This is Lockie Bloxham under pressure from Zach Stitchbury. 1 down, 24 to go. Standing lap time of 1 minute 41.7 for our race leader. But he finds himself under pressure from the 18-year-old from Auckland, New Zealand, with Goodman right in the mix as well.
Gee, Harrison Goodman, have a look at the pace he's showing early here, side by side. Bloxham's been sent out wide there by Stitchbury, and he stays with it, stays in it, uses it, tries to take an advantage. There's not much of an advantage to be had from that when you get pushed out wide at turn 2 there. The corner starts to camber off, and you end up struggling for grip here. 2 wide down into here. It's 2 rows of 2 wide in the Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge.
Watch Stitchbury. So Shields defending, had Giltrap going with him, and Goodman just been hung out to dry a little bit at turn 4. So Stitchbury trying to go the long way around at Siberia, couldn't quite get it done that time by. It's all concertinaed up. Nothing between the top dozen cars in this field at the moment. And Shields having to drive defensively early in the race means everyone stays very, very close together.
Geez, I'll tell you what, Stitchbury's using the dirt and more off the back of the ripple strips here at the moment, covering everyone behind him in a smoke screen. Have a look at Ronan Murphy down the inside here, tries to get by and blocks him. Bloxham's getting absolutely peppered by challengers left, right and centre at the moment. Taplin, the South Australians, weighing in on this as well. And look out, here comes the 78 just from behind there as well. Pushing very, very hard is Marcus Flack.
It's been the story of Lockie Bloxham's day, hasn't it? The mirrors are copping a wear out. This is the battle for the lead, side by side. Giltrap got a really good run out of 12, and he's going to motor past before they get to turn 1. So lead change. Marco Giltrap gets the front now. What's Goodman got? Can he run with them in the Sonic car? And this is a Team Porsche New Zealand sandwich at the moment because Zach Stitchbury's got to the back of them as well. Gee, it was a good... what a great run out the final corner for young Marco Giltrap, and was alongside at the start-finish line and had enough momentum just to drive past clear. And Shields defending again, hard under brakes. This big stop down the hill, and Stitchbury's going to get an advantage here. They'll go 3 wide, thank you very much. Goodman gets a spot. Stitchbury trying to go around the outside of the lot of them, and Aaron Shields is going to go from 1st, potentially to 4th position in the space of 6 corners.
Hold on. It gets very willing here, has to duck in behind. Stitchbury gets the spot away there as well. So we are underway, Richard. We've been doing this for 2 laps. There's 25. How many can we keep this intensity up for?
Stitch gets it wrong at the top and drops it. Had the big wobble coming up to Lukey Heights, and he's off the road. He'll gather it up and drive on, but all of that hard work undone for the young Kiwi.
He was popping wheels off on the exit of Siberia and the round through the hay shed there. So that is the lesson learned. You can't be popping wheels off here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Try as hard as you can to not go off the back of the ripple strip there, and it's all come to that now. Bloxham still under fire. Ronan Murphy ranging big in his mirrors, and then in behind Bloxham is Taplin, Marcus Flack, Sam Shaheen in the first of the AMs. Then it's Tom McLennan, Caleb Sumich inside the 10 now, and Fitzsimons weighing in there as well.
So Marcus Flack's got up to 7th position, started from 10th, so worked his way into the 10 in the last race from the back of the field. Of course, progress gets more difficult when the further up the field you get, because the talent and the ability gets higher as well. This high quality pro field and all the Michelin juniors we've got this year. So hasn't Harrison Goodman had a good race, and he's just 0.4 behind our leader and absolutely going with this fast young Kiwi. So second-year driver, came out of Sonic's brilliant Formula Ford program, the most successful Formula Ford team in the history of the world. And he's going along with it. So let's unpick this. Watch car 72. It's young Zach Stitchbury, and it's going to have a really big moment getting into Lukey Heights. And that's the point he dropped it off the road.
Gee, that's when you unload the aero in your Porsche and you understeer off. A feature of the type of vehicle they are, with all the weight hanging out over the rear wheels here. You tip them in, they'll hang on, but you don't want to unweight your aero, that's for sure. Have a look at Flack, Richard. This is awesome to watch this young fella going at it. Really, really impressed with this. Oh, wheels off all over the place. Was that Lockie Bloxham then?
Yeah, just dropped it wide on the exit of turn 11. It used to be known as Belinda's Terrace, I think, down there, didn't it, Daz?
12, yes, it certainly did.
And this battle, he's got a very good run as a result. Bloxham's run onto the straight compromised, and Murphy's going to have a look around the outside at turn 1. We've seen this done once before today. It's rare you get to see it on multiple occasions. Couldn't get it done there, and as a result, he's got Tom Taplin trying to work his way past to the South Aussie. Another second-generation racing car driver doing good things in Porsche racing. Giltrap leads. Goodman going after him and sets the fastest lap of the race last time round with a 33.8. Most teams banked a good set of tyres, Daz, for this one. And a lot of them using a set of tyres that's just done 5 laps in qualifying, 5 or 6 laps. That second run in qualifying we saw yesterday afternoon. So they're all got good tyre condition for a 25-lap race at a place that is brutal on rubber. Rears, yes. Right-hand side, absolutely.
These guys out in front aren't doing actually anything silly yet. They're really not torching the tyre. It's actually the guys in the next group that are really starting to push each other that are going to start to torch up the tyre.
Darren Smith's lap 5. It's not doing anything silly yet. Okay, we'll file that one away. See how this plays out.
There it is. But these guys are moving around. They're trying to make position. The two lead cars are line astern of each other, just having a race. Whereas these guys are moving around, trying to find different bits of the track. Tom Taplin in the last 12 months has really stepped up. He's grabbed the monkey bars and taken the top step, and he is really pushing hard in the number 26 in season 2023, doing more of what he did, in fact, last season. So good to see. But I tell you what, the talent keeps coming at him, doesn't it? And Ronan Murphy in front of him right now.
Totally, and he's got himself into a current spec car for the top class as well. He's running a Class B car last year in Pro, so racing with about 40 horsepower less than everyone around him and less aero. So still coming up to speed in the later spec Taplin car, run by the Renan Autosport team, headed up by Mark Buick. But yeah, getting up to speed. He's a quick young race car driver with plenty of experience now as well. So Giltrap 0.5 back to Harrison Goodman, and last time by, Goodman was very close going down to this point of the racetrack, but the second half of the lap was very good for the race leader, and he was just able to ease away a little bit of a buffer zone. Meanwhile, Shields, Bloxham, Murphy, Taplin, Flack locked up behind them as well. So young Marcus getting in there. He's the son of Damien Flack, long-time Porsche Carrera Cup racer. He's been overseas racing Formula 4 cars very successfully in Europe and the Middle East. Decided to come back to play his trade in one-make Porsche racing. The Flack family heavily involved in Porsche racing. So Damien's brother Adrian is a top-flight Pro-Am in Michelin Sprint Challenge, in Porsche Carrera Cup, I should say, in the top series in Painted Dixon Carrera Cup. And Damien Flack's, Adrian Flack's kids, there's too many of them, it's hard to say. Adrian Flack's kids are all go-karters, and they're racing in the Australian Karting Championships this weekend. Lana going along well. I'm sure they'll be watching on. So the Flack family, the point I'm trying to make here, is going out in force in one-make Porsche racing, which we love.
Fantastic, and why wouldn't you? I've said it a number of times over the years, and that is when a manufacturer is as committed, if not more committed to it than what you are, that's where you want to be. And they've proven it, and we've seen it right throughout the lead up to this weekend. And great to have the Porsche brand back on the racetrack here, and we look forward to seeing the Painted Dixon Carrera Cup come alive at Albert Park. That will certainly be the next place you can get right up on the wall and feel the power and the speed of these cars come rocketing past.
Have a look at the intensity at the pointy end. So lap time check, best laps of the race, Giltrap 33.8, Goodman 33.8, Shields 33.9, 33.9 Bloxham, 33.9 Murphy. Nothing in it with that entire leading group of cars, all within a tenth of a second. Furiously competitive. And it's only going to get better as these drivers get on top of these cars and understand them a little bit better over the course of the season. 0.5 the margin. Goodman not letting the race leader get away. Flack now having a look down the inside of Tom Taplin. Has he got enough of a nose there? Squeeze down towards the apex and has to back out of that. The rule that race director Dave Stewart and this weekend's driver standards advisor Chris Pither have put in place is that to execute a move, you need to be at the A pillar of the car, basically the wing mirror with the front of your car to successfully complete that pass. So you do have to get quite a long way down the inside and perhaps not quite there. Here's a battle pack side by side. Aaron Shields continues to be under pressure from Lockie Bloxham, who'll enjoy being in the offense today. No chance to get by that time by, and Murphy, of course, right there. So to Taplin, and this battle pack continues. Lap 8 of 25, 18 to go. Goodman still with the fastest lap of the race, though Giltrap punching out personal best sectors out in front.
Cars still look like they've got plenty of grip coming down that very high load turn 3. And the reason being, as we just saw then, was like 8 Michelin signs across the rear wings there, underside and topside, owned by the tyre company that shods these cars right around the world, a real uniting with the tyre across the Porsche championships around the world. And Michelin have thrown great support at the category. And this tyre acquits itself very, very well underneath these cars.
Essentially, Hinley still leads Pro-Am. While we watch this battle, again, bit of Noah's Ark down into MG. Lockie Harburg continues to lead the way in Class B as well. He's running on his own down in 17th place outright. And we'll continue to follow this great fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th position. It's a long championship. Points accumulation over the course of the season is great, and it's the recovery drives like we've seen from Marcus Flack that are going to make a big difference when we get to Bathurst for the final round of the year. Imagine finishing a championship at Bathurst. That's going to be huge. So too potentially the move here from Lockie Bloxham, trying to go around the outside. Shields has got the thing dancing on the rear axle. It's like a sprint car sideways through turn 1. And Bloxham gets through. And another change of position further back as Flack works his way past Taplin for 6th place. Shields' car got to the mid-corner and the rear just gave away a little bit. It started to slide, and that was all the invitation that the 23 car needed.
So here it is now. Ronan now all over the back of Shields as well. So the 116 coming under intense fire. And Flack will certainly be pushing through. Rear lock there on the Ronan car. Ronan Murphy's car there.
Is that the inside left?
Yeah.
Unweighted side turning in, yeah.
Unusual.
That's odd. Rarely see that in these cars. They don't run ABS in these cars. So you do get some locking potential, but just the unloaded side of the car perhaps turning in aggressively to Siberia. And again, Shields defends heavily, covers his line. Murphy backs the thing in this time.
The secret there, Tom Taplin's doing it, getting it out wide there, flowing the car nicely. But Flack has really got the feel of this car underneath him at the moment. He's pushing very, very hard. Started out at 10th, weighing into the top 5 now. And we'll see over the next little while if Flack can continue this push forward. But like water reaching its level at this point in time, it becomes more and more difficult. Down the inside now for Tom Taplin. Has a look, more about just throwing it there and making an appearance and letting you know. Got the high beams on there as well, so they'll know he's there. I dare say they're not too much interested in what he wants to do next, because they've got their own race in the front windscreen to look after.
And cleared of this battle pack, Lockie Bloxham last time round was quickest of the top 3. So actually pegged a little margin back from the 2 race leaders. Murphy this time around the outside at what was known as Honda. I don't think they've sponsored it for 20 years. Run out very, very wide. It's now Stoner corner into Siberia. Went really deep there. It'll just open the door a little bit for Flack perhaps to have a run. They're very difficult to do anything on this high speed. Amazing bit of road past the hay shed.
Lockie Bloxham taking the ideal line through there. Just watching Marcus Flack getting it out over the back of the ripple strip there. You don't want to do that too many times. We've already seen what happened to Stitchbury doing that as well.
And word from race control is that they've shown the bag sportsmanship flag that is to Aaron Shield for blocking, and it is quite overt, that positioning that car down the middle or the inside of the road, both at turn 4 and at MG. So the team will be on the radio to him just to let him know. Max Vidot, Carrera Cup driver here, is on the headset to the TechWorks driver. You can see him actually pacing the top of the pit building. He's a tall unit, so he's easy to spot, fast driver, and another graduate for a Michelin Sprint Challenge.
And gee, hasn't he grown up over the last little while? That physical training's working very, very nicely for him. Great to see Max at the track and helping, I guess, someone that's going to be an ultimately competitor to him, but that's how it works, isn't it, in these race teams? You want the work, you've got to help the next team coming through. Coming onto the straight that time around, Tom Taplin just about had the car moving on its wheelbase there, got very, very loose. Kept into it, which was the wise choice.
He got it wrong. Under brakes Aaron Shields and bowled it very, very wide and surrendered a couple more spots. And Murphy goes through, and so too Flack. So he gets himself up now to 5th position, Murphy to 4th. And now Taplin's going to go on the offense here and try and do the same thing. It just looked like he couldn't get the thing turned in down there at 4. It's very, very wide on the entry to the corner.
Getting aggressive again as well in the entry to Hayshed there, out on the back of the ripple strip. That's a very, very fast right-hander. Oh, just need to ask Craig Lowndes about that one many, many years ago. David Auger in the Alpha as well. And you don't get an opportunity to do that too many times in a row around there. That is massively fast, and you'll be dealt a pretty rough card you have to deal with if you continue to do it throughout a race.
Yeah, it's just been a really challenging lap or two for Aaron Shields, and he's lost the momentum that he had, and as a result he's been gobbled up and runs wide, and now Tom Taplin goes past as well as they run down towards turn 1, although Shields will hold on driver's right. They tip into that corner. It's just under 280 clicks in a Cup car before they ease onto the middle pedal to get them slowed and stopped. Just behind them is Sam Shaheen catching these two, and now Taplin with a good run out of the southern loop. So Giltrap the leader, Goodman second, Bloxham third, Murphy up to 4th, Marcus Black in 5th place, and then back to Aaron Shields, who remains in 6th. But how long is that going to last as Tom Taplin has a look down at turn 4?
Hey Richard, 11 laps done, 14 still to go. How is it? We're 11 laps in.
It's more than a full sprint race yet.
Yeah, it's a massive race here. This is fantastic stuff here. Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge is living up to everything that the drums beat about for this series. Have a look at this now. This is some defensive stuff. Aaron Shields, he's got his thoughts back on the window in front rather than behind, but he's certainly not letting Tom Taplin through. The amazing thing is the intensity that Tom Taplin's turned up, and have a look who's ranging in the mirrors now. The first of the AM cars, Sam Shaheen, weighs in on this one.
Yeah, but this group has just become a little detached from these guys that were in front. They've sort of gone 2 by 2 now and broken themselves up into little battle packs rather than that big freight train. Wonder in the back of my mind how long they were able to keep that intensity up with the furious battling. Tell you what, it's on for the lead. Harrison Goodman having a look around the outside at turn 1, and I think he's actually got this. He does. The Sonic car gets in front, so he was the better part of a second behind. There's been a change of the lead, and Harrison Goodman wrestles it away from Marco Giltrap. Big moment in the car race. And the Sonic driver now hits the front. Could we have 3 different race winners from 3 races? Then it torches the inside front Michelin, trying to get it stopped down at turn 4. So this is the first time he's led a Michelin Sprint Challenge race. Podium finishes last year, yet to win.
Driving brilliantly there, has just turned it up a level. And I've got to say that maybe Marco Giltrap has just used a little bit too much car to get to this point in this race. We both looked up at lap 11 and went, crikey, it's lap 11. And they've been turned up the volume to 11 and driving very, very competitively. Here we go now, down into MG. This is Lockie Bloxham with Marcus Flack in behind.
It's going to be, it's not over yet. We understand there might have been some lap traffic that slowed Giltrap down, and he got to it out of turn 10 and 11, so that slowed his run, and we've seen how important momentum is, and here's another example of that, because the Team Porsche New Zealand car's got a very, very good run. We'll try and go the long way around at one, but won't do it this time. So the battle changes tack again, and this time Goodman's the one defending rather than attacking. This is great stuff.
Terrific stuff. Turning it on the gym every time we go. Racing in the Jim Richards Endurance Series over 3 events throughout the season, and why not started at round 1 here at the magnificent Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Look to the inside, not being able to make the move there, but gee, the Giltrap car has still got plenty on board there. I thought he might have used a bit too much car, but just caught, as you pointed out, Richard, with some lap traffic and not being able to get that ultimate run onto the straight. But what it does, doesn't it absolutely reiterate how hard you must get out of MG Corner and flow the car all the way around to turn 1.
Lockie Bloxham's been shown the bad sportsmanship flag as well for overtly aggressive defending. So the same flag they showed to Aaron Shields early on. And he was gobbled up by Adrian Flack while all that was going on at the lead. So Marcus Flack, I'm going to do that with Adrian racing in Carrera Cup and Dad Damien watching on from the stands. Hello to the Flack family. I've just used the surname and get away with it.
Grabbed a random name out of the clouds.
The point through all that is he's got himself to 3rd place, and he's actually catching these two. So if these two continue on this little internal battle, bearing in mind there's still a full sprint race to go in this one, there's a very good chance the driver of car 78 could get to the back of these two.
No doubt.
Or could he? Down the inside this time. Giltrap with a great run, used the toe to perfection and slices down the inside at turn 1 and retakes the lead.
Harrison Goodman didn't put up too much of an argument then. He knew that the aero effect of the car slingshotting through was going to pay out there. He just held his line, trying to run it there, and just got a little bit of movement under the front tyres there, exiting 2. So maybe that tells the tale a little bit more, because have a look at Giltrap now. He has got 4 or 5 car lengths away, and we've got Marcus Flack in the 78 ranging up on Goodman now, so changing ebbs and tides of this race.
Murphy's catching them as well, so the top 4 are all compressing up here, and Bloxham still with them. So there's not a huge, only 3.5 seconds covering the top 5 cars. All again, it's just concertinaed back into a really close battle. Jonathan Glixton in the Racing to Beat FA car, Frederick Ataxia, jumping out of the way through the hayshed. So gentlemanly driving from the Pro-Am driver.
Good to see too. There's no point weighing in on this battle as they push the front end of the field through. Harrison Goodman just getting a little bit squirrely there as well. Flack has seen it, observing the back of Harrison Goodman over the last 3 or 4 laps. He's seen the car moving underneath Harrison, and he starts to bring on the pressure now. So the number 78 moves into a position of offence. Harrison Goodman is now got a confusing decision to make. Not sure if he can take the offensive battle up to the guys in front, but certainly falling into the trap behind.
I don't know if young Flack can win this race, but he is going to have a proper crack at getting to the back of Marco Giltrap, the race leader. He has got car speed to burn at the moment. Remember, started this one on the 5th row of the grid. Started race 2 on the last row of a 24-car grid. And remember, lap traffic can giveth, but it can also taketh away. So where it gave Goodman an opportunity before, it could cost Giltrap at some point. Flack down the inside. He's 2nd now.
Phil Morris getting out of the way there, the veteran Victorian racer. That'll hurt him. He won't like getting out of the way. He wants to weigh in on the front of this, but he has got himself right out of the way. Plays no part in the front part of this field coming through on him.
Saw his brother Johnny here briefly earlier today as well, so one of the great Victorian racing families. So change of position, Flack to 2nd, Goodman back to 3rd, both run out of the same Sonic Motor Racing stable. In fact, you heard from all 3 of them before the start of this race, and now Ronan Murphy has got to the back of them as well. So the Sonic trio hunting together, going out after Team Porsche New Zealand Earl Bamber Motorsports, Marco Giltrap. So Jonathan Glixton parked on the infield between turns 11 and 12, drivers left.
Thank you for that, Jonathan, taking no further part in the race.
It's a long way out of harm's way there.
Gee, the front of this race is absolutely compelling from P2 back, because at the moment, Marco Giltrap is giving plenty to chase at the moment. Oh, big torch of the tyre there from Flack. That's a left-hand front that'll be like a 50-cent piece now. But he gets on with it, puts it behind him, will go door to door, down in through turn 3. Harrison Goodman holds to the inside. Flack, who knows what he's got on the left front of that car now. Under brakes, bobbling around, as is Porsche famous for. Huge amount of braking capacity under these cars.
Gee, this is good. Great racing. So it was an error that led to that opportunity for Goodman, who gets down the inside. There's contact, big contact between them. Sonic teammates. Murphy trying to buy into this as well. Elbows out stuff, and it's going to cost Flack a couple of spots, and Murphy now clear. Gets himself to third.
Gee, I didn't like the way the rear wheels clashed with each other then. Harrison Goodman went a little bit up in the air there, so we hope that they haven't cut a tyre or anything like that. Certainly adding to the drama.
Got him down the inside, Murphy. He's going to get himself to second here. Good pass, clean pass. And racing room given as well. So Ronan Murphy now finds himself in second. Goodman back to third, Flack to fourth. And this is just Christmas coming all at once for Marco Giltrap, who finds himself 3.5 seconds clear out in front. Thank you, Sonic, says Team Porsche New Zealand EBM.
Don't they ever?
Well, it's all friendly fire.
Gee, I hate to see it when it gets unfriendly then. If this is getting clashing rims like that coming out of Siberia. Harrison Goodman now still under brakes at turn 2 there, getting some movement. Here's Lockie Bloxham now, and Tom Taplin getting mixed up in this. So Tom's into 6th place.
Good pass. They'll run side by side. Bloxham, if he can hang tough around the outside at turn 3, might be all right in the braking zone down here into 4.
Gee, we're getting a lot of this weekend at turn 3. That is such a brave, you're trusting on the guy with you there that you're not going to do anything silly.
Bloxham holds on. And Aaron Shields now slowly buying himself back into this mix. Fitzsimmons is in there too. He's got past Sam Shahin. So the TechWorks driver, remember, a red flag in qualifying yesterday, and then he also copped a rock through the radiator in qualifying. Running strongly, unfortunately, off the road in race 1. Had the DNF started from the back, so he's another one that's worked his way through the field. Still 8 laps to go. And this is Bloxham in 5th, Taplin in 6th, Shields in 7th, but for how long? Because Fitzsimmons gets down the inside and passes his TechWorks teammate and takes that position away, so he moves himself to 7th.
Zach Stitchbury through on Sam Shahin there as well, so Stitchbury back in, trying to push inside the 10 now, just hanging on. Went backwards early on in this race and pushing very, very hard, side by side down the straight. Taplin and Bloxham. Taplin will be on the outside run, but doesn't need to go to the outside. Commands the lead of this battle and will hold it down through turn number 1. Does Bloxham have it for him in turn 2? Taplin makes sure he can't get up the inside, crowds the inside of the corner there. Just sending the message that it's going to be hard work to get through here. Stitchbury on Shields now. Have a look at that, putting the nose in.
So remember, it seems like an age ago, but young Zach Stitchbury had the big off at the top of the hill at Lukey Heights, and the thing almost snapped on him. He was lucky to keep it pointing in a generally straight direction. Bloxham torching a Michelin down there at turn 4, but gets it stopped and turned okay. So this has been a good comeback drive, back to 9th position. Only 10 seconds off the race lead, mind you, after 19 laps. What a show Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge has put on this weekend. Provisionally, and I say provisionally because there'll be some stuff to play out after this, I'm sure, Marco Giltrap potentially to win the round. Second would still be Aaron Shields, despite the fact he's dropped to 8th, and could be further back because Stitchbury looking to make a move as they go past Braden Taylor, who drives right off the racing line. He'll nuke his own tyres for the benefit of letting the leaders through, which is very gentlemanly of him. So despite the fact he's down the field, Aaron Shields still second overall on points for the round. Harrison Goodman third, but of course there's still 6 laps to go, and if this race is any indication, just about anything could happen. Here goes Stitchbury.
And as we talk about it, it most certainly does. A position change there. Stitchbury now got inside the 10 and is now pushing for a top 5. Certainly got the car under him to do the job here. He's Lockie Bloxham for Harvey Norman, Team Navy. Getting it around there. Fitzsimmons in the confluent car up the inside here. Drives all the way through. Mid-corner there. That's a tough ask at turn 2 here. Southern Loop. And he did it. Held on beautifully like he was on rails. And just runs a little bit right at 3. Bloxham looks to the outside. That's not going to work out there when you're at that late at the run at it. And Stitchbury appearing big now in the mirrors of the 23. And Shields also coming on here all the while. Giltrap out in front of this race. Ronan Murphy is in P2, not able to join the race leader, but it's a big gap now to Goodman, Flack, Taplin, Fitzsimmons, Bloxham, Stitchbury, Shields and Shaheen, and that's how many there are in this pack.
I wonder, and I'm just thinking out loud, I wonder if Shields has torched a tyre early in the race so badly that he's now got a handling balance, because it just doesn't explain why he's plummeted down the leaderboard. Just doesn't. He's got race-winning pace. We've seen that. And Stitchbury now clear of Bloxham as well. And the same could be said for the 23 car. He could be in exactly the same position because they've tumbled down the leaderboard. You don't forget how to drive these cars quickly in the space of a race. Give them the benefit of the doubt, and potentially a torch Michelin at some point. These two cars both have been grabbing tyres early in this race when they were in the heat of that early battle. I wonder if that explains why they've tumbled down. Remember, this place is brutal on rubber. Long, loaded, high-speed corners. Tough on tyres is Phillip Island. So Bloxham now to 8th. Shields to 9th. Clinging on potentially to a spot on the round podium, though, still.
Tough on tyres, Richard, but the place offers so much grip, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the sharper edge. Let's call it the hot mix for the older people at home playing. But certainly it is a track that offers up a lot of grip, a lot like Mount Panorama. In fact, fairly much similar hot mix has been used on both these tracks now. So it is very tough on tyres, and that is much to do with the surface and that high speed, constant radius corners where it's just pile on the speed, build and build and build the speed. And that's where it starts to tear the tyre, not only off the surface, the grip surface, but off the bead of the rim as well.
Yeah. Correct. So 5 to go in this one. You've not missed anything out in front. It's Marco Giltrap by 4.7 seconds now over Ronan Murphy, who in turn's got 1.5 over his teammate Harrison Goodman. And he's got Marcus Flack 0.4 behind. So there's probably still a little bit in that battle for 3rd and 4th position in this race. Remember, separate point score for the Enduro Cup race, their little series within a series. Imagine being a Kiwi and winning a series named after Jim Richards. That's pretty good life goals kind of stuff there, isn't it?
Yeah, one of their more famous ones. There's only a few, I guess, up the road, and surnames like McLaren that might top Jim.
Certainly right in the conversation for greatest of all time, isn't there? So nothing out in front at the moment. We continue to watch Lockie Bloxham, who's been in the thick of things today. Feisty, fast, second-year driver. Came into Porsches out of Toyota 86. A learning year last year. Ended up finally got to the podium by the end of the season. And it's been a challenging day for him today, but has had plenty of speed. Enough to compete for podiums, and he will be a factor, no doubt, over the course of a championship. And in a field this competitive, does it often one round he could be nowhere, and the next round he could be dominating. And it's going to ebb and flow. I got a feeling this title is going to be won by the driver that finishes 4th in every race. So that it could be a title on consistency, because I truly think it's going to ebb and flow over the course of the year. Let's come back to that. Flack looking down the inside of Goodman at MG. Can't get it done there, but this has started to intensify once again.
The great mix of tracks that we go to as well really plays into it. The next track is going to be QR, I think it is, where they go to. Up the inside now, the 78 gives a bit of a don't argue to Harrison Goodman on the way through there. So Flack into P3, steps onto the podium.
Tom Taplin.
He's coming on through too as Harrison Goodman got issues.
There's a massive witness mark on the right rear corner of the Bob Jane car.
That's certainly where that coming together out of Siberia, where the car went up in the air a little bit.
Correct.
Earlier on in the race, that's where that witness mark will be, and Flack locking it up into turn 2 that time around. 3 laps, or 2 3/4 laps left to go. But I'll finish my point. The different tracks and drivers like different circuits, their home tracks, away tracks, whatever it might be. Great history there, poor history there. Different iterations of track. QR's the next one. Completely different to this, John.
Yeah. But it's the David Wall approach to winning championships. So you can go out and win 10 races in a year, but if you have 2 DNFs, you're probably not going to win the title. So competitive is this form of racing. Flack is torching the inside unloaded front corner on this lap. It just keeps reverting back to the flat spot. But he's got himself clear now to third. It'll be a big job to catch Ronan Murphy, who's further up the road in second.
How's the Porsche hard cut on the gearbox coming out of Siberia?
Bang,
Full
bang, bang.
load, bang, bang, up through the gearbox. Magnificent pieces of engineering, these cars.
Fitzsimmons doing a nice job. Teenager right out of go-karting. Goodman veers left and right, and he's got Stitchbury trying to stitch him up down at turn 11, and he's going to get that pass done. So the comeback drive continues. He's now within 9 seconds of the race leaders. Taplin slow out of 11. And dropping spots, he's got an issue. What a shame. It's been such a good drive for the young South Aussie.
Oh, that's
He's
heartbreaking.
been magnificent today. And from 4th position, the thing's dead stick and coasting on the start-finish straight. Oh, that'll be heartbreaking.
With 2 to go, that is absolutely shattering, that is.
On for his best ever race finish. Flack locks it up big time and drops it just off the road at turn 2 and gives away 1, 2, 3 positions. That's that same tyre. It got torched a couple of times last lap, and it went again there, and that time he couldn't pull it up.
Tapping right rear flat. That's a shame, and I tell you what, we're starting to see this all start to come unfolding now at the front of the field. It's not Giltrap and it's not Murphy, but it certainly is Flack who's having issues as well, and we've just seen Tom Taplin as well. Harrison Goodman gets back into the last step of the podium into P3. But Stitchbury's in there, and Fitzsimmons. Have a look at that, Richard.
Yeah, 5th. He was firing off the road at Lukey
Out of
Heights.
13th.
Yeah, but he fired it off the road at Lukey Heights, remember, at the start of this one. It's epic. What a drive.
The gym.
This is...
the gym.
I try and deliver the promises I make, Daz, and I feel like we've lived up to them today with the show that the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy race has delivered us once again. With Marco Giltrap, the 18-year-old Kiwi with a big weight on racing shoulders that seem at this point very adept at carrying it. Simon Evans, New Zealand champion, racing car driver, is here on the coaching duties as well. He's been working closely with Marco. They shared a car in the Enduro Series over there for some time, getting some laps, getting some experience. He's been running around in a cup car in New Zealand endurance racing for some time, getting laps and building up to this point. It's cool to see Simon, who's a very fast driver, spent a year in Super 2 for the Super Black racing team at a point there, and very good in New Zealand Super Tourers. Level-headed guy to coach a teenager on the verge of big things, you feel. And he's about to deliver a really nice race win. He's half a lap from home.
Tim Wolf down in 19th for those watching on from the 944 Challenge. He's taken the step on the pyramid. And Braden Taylor in the Maha Equipment, that fantastic German equipment company, representing well with Porsche. There's a synergy there, the 2 German companies making themselves well known in Australia. So really good to Braden. He's getting the car home at the end of the weekend and representing the Maha brand beautifully.
Well, his granddad, Sir Colin Giltrap, is one of the greats of New Zealand motoring and motorsport, but the family reaches well beyond New Zealand in motorsport. They've supported so many young drivers. Now they get the opportunity to support one of the family. And this is a huge story for El Bamba Motorsport, Team Porsche New Zealand. Marco Giltrap drives it along Gardner Straight and wins the Jim Richards Endurance Race and round 1 of Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge Australia here at Phillip Island. What a show it's been, and it continues right to the line. Murphy second. What a great drive, Ronan Murphy. Harrison Goodman third. Zach Stitchbury fourth. Oh, Shahin just misses out on beating. No, he got him. Shahin beats Aaron Shields to the line for 6th and 7th. So Giltrap will win the round. over Aaron Shields provisionally in second and Goodman in third. So the round result generated on points. Shaheen wins the Pro-Am class. Giltrap, Murphy, Goodman, the top three in the race. Stitchbury fourth, a pretty wild one for him. Fitzsimmons fifth, Shaheen sixth and Pro-Am. Shields seventh, Bloxham eighth, McLennan ninth, and Sumich inside the top 10. Good drive for a youngster who's getting up to speed in these cars, and in fact, his best lap in that race not far off the race leader, so he's got clear pace. Well, what a show. It's been spectacular, the opening round of Michelin Sprint Challenge. Box office stuff over the course of this year, and there's a Porsche wrecking yard down at the MotoGP pit exit with Marcus Flack pulling his car off to the side there as well. He limped across the line in 11th position. I wonder if he ended up with a puncture at the end there too, Daz. It's been a great show. It's been a pleasure to be here and work with you and the Blendline team. Thoroughly enjoyable motor racing in this series. Absolute box office. Do not miss a round. Marco Giltrap, the winner. Murphy, Goodman, Stitchbury and Fitzsimmons, the top five. Super drive. Shaheen Pro-Am, Shields. Look at the margins there. Nothing between those two. 0.001 as they cross the line. Bloxham, McLennan and Sumich rounds out the top 10. Up and down roller coaster ride there for Marcus Flack. He was second for a while in that one. Brett Bolton in Pro-Am in 12th. Slaven Goldie, Greg Hardberg. Class B winner, Tressida, Cowan, Wolf and Taylor. And then Morris, Taplin, Knipe and Glixton. I'm going to go and run and do a podium, Daz. That was a really entertaining race, as they always are. And my thanks to all the hardworking team here at Phillip Island, Pyack, all our great volunteer officials from the Porsche Motorsport family to yours. Thank you for your hard work and all the sacrifice you put in to come and allow us to go car racing and put on a great show like that.